Hi guys, welcome to my video. I'm going to show you today how to watermark an image while using Photoshop. If you don't have Photoshop, there are other ways of watermarking your image, however this is the one that I use. So first of all, you want to open up your image of your logo. It needs to be as big as possible so that when you scale it up or down, it doesn't go blurry. And what you want to do is you want to go to Edit, Define Brush Preset, and it will come up with a little box. This is where you can rename your stamp, which is how you're going to watermark your image. You press OK. Now, watermarking an image is essential for artists and photographers just to protect your image from anyone who wants to steal it. There are programs that remove them, but don't fret. This way, they're a bit more exciting than just your name across them. You can do them with images, and you can change the color, and you can change the size and the rotation of it. So now you have a stamp. You can stamp it however you'd like, in whatever colors you'd like. Just doing a few different colors for you to show you. You can change the size, so you can go really, really big, or you can go really, really small. Okay? You can also go back to black just to make sure that it is visible for you, and of a size that. There you go. And you can also change the rotation of it. This is on a sliding scale for the size of your stamp. It is in pixels, so it does depend on what image you open, how big the stamp is going to be. Now, for example, if I open up one of my 1200 dpi images, which is quite a large file, the size of the 3583 pixels here is huge on my screen, but as soon as I go to this one, it is actually a lot smaller. And this is because this is done in pixels. It's not a relative size in your mind, it is in just in pixels. So you can then plop it straight onto the canvas. Now this is where I have my image. My colour for this year, I've changed my colours every year since I started doing them. This design was made by Mr. Amber Marie, my fiance. He used a paw print and Amber Marie, and he has changed the date so far up until 2019. I do need to get him to make me some more. And this is how I stamp onto my picture. Now first of all, you've got to choose the size. You don't want it too big, you don't want to obliterate the picture, because as much as that does protect your image, it makes it look a bit rubbish. So you want to make sure that you've chosen a good size for it. I think that one's quite a nice size. You want to rotate it to however you want it to be, and you also want to choose the colour. And I preferably go for the bottom right of my images, just because it does seem to flow a bit better with the picture and doesn't obstruct too much. So I go there and then I crop the image just to make sure that it is where I want it to be. I use the nudge tool just to make sure that it's in the square and it's central. And then I click and I save. And what I do is I then add at the end of the image a W and an M. It's already saved. And that stands for watermark, and it just means that I have an image for watermark and I have an image as just the background. You can also add a new layer for your watermark, and that means that you can save it as a Photoshop document, and you can also just remove the watermark by clicking the eye, and it means that your image can be protected as a separate image. I also can show you some of the other stamps that I've created in the past, just to make sure that you can see that you can create them from images. For example, my biro. You can go and even do something a bit more fun. This is what I call my VIP sticker, and I usually do it in a gold colour, and it was actually done from an image of glitter, so that you can see that it's slightly transparent. I also have my social media logos, which has my email address, my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram, and my website. And I also have a new logo which I've started to use, which is a bit more elegant, and that is Amber Marie Biro Portraits. And I also have somewhere my signature. Okay, and just to show you, you can actually use an image, for example my Santa hat. You can go edit, define brush preset, and you can make a Santa hat stamp. It is very crude, but you can do it from images, and you can also downplay the opacity so that it's a bit more of an actual watermark if you would like. So if I delete all of those layers and go back to my paw print, and it's the right size, I can get the opacity and I can do that. And it is very, very, very faint, but it is actually there, and it's more of a watermark if you don't want it to be so garish. Now this does mean that your images aren't particularly protected from someone copying them and not pretending that they're theirs, but it does mean that you can tell that you have watermarked that image, because you can zoom in and you can say, there's my watermark, I designed it, I retained the copyright to it, and you've stolen it. But I think that the reason why a lot of watermarks aren't particularly rated is because they are just text going over. Imagine if you, let's get, so for example, if you wanted to go Biro Portraits, don't know why that's one so small, but imagine if that was your watermark. Not only is it very obstructive of your image and you can't see your beautiful portrait behind, but it's also not very pleasing to the eye for most people, but always put it at the bottom. But I personally think that a watermark that has some form of beauty in it can make your picture actually stand out, and it's also branding. If you see a portrait with a yellow paw print on it that says Amber Marie, you know that it is instantly one of mine. It means that you recognise the brand, you can recognise the artist's work, and it brings back the memories of, oh yeah, that's that person's work, and it's not just stamped across. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed my video on how to watermark using Photoshop, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.